Running an Amazon FBA business can be a great way to give yourself some extra cash as part of a hustle that you do in your spare time. Like the majority of side hustles out there, Amazon FBA requires an initial investment in order to get properly started, the amount of which is going to depend on the Amazon selling strategy that you go ahead and choose. Over the past 4 years, I've built a 7-figure Amazon FBA business that uses the private label selling strategy. And in that time, I've learned what all of the startup costs are, as well as a number of tricks to minimize them or remove them entirely. And that means that you can get started with less money up front than you'd usually need, or you can spend more of your money on stock that you want to go on and sell. What we're going to do in this video is run through each of the startup costs that you'll incur with an Amazon FBA business, and at the same time, I'll run through some tips and strategies that you can follow in order to minimize or eradicate many of those entirely. After you've decided that you want to have an Amazon FBA business as a side hustle, you'll need to decide whether you're going to create a limited company or operate as a sole trader. Technically speaking, a limited company is going to save you way more money in the long run when it comes to paying tax. So that's the route that I'd advise that most of you take. Most people don't realize this, but setting up your own limited company is actually pretty straightforward, and it can be done quite cheaply if you know where to look or who to ask. There are various providers out there that will do all of the admin setup for you for a fee, with the most popular ones charging as much as £100. But you guys don't need to pay that, because I know a great way to get it done far cheaper. The first method is to apply to open a limited company yourself, and you can do that by filling out the government application form, which takes around 30 minutes to do and costs just £12. The form itself is fairly straightforward to complete, and if you look on YouTube, there are plenty of step-by-step guides that will stop you from making any big mistakes. If you don't feel confident enough to do this yourself, then another low-cost option is to go with an agency known as First Formations, and they'll create your company, give you a .com domain, and help you set up a business bank account, all for just £12.99. So an additional 99 pence versus doing it yourself. How is that for a bargain? After you've created your company, the next step that you'll need to take is to apply for a business bank account. And that is something that every Amazon seller needs to do. Many high street banks charge for these business accounts, and whilst the fee isn't too high at around £70 to £100 a year, in my experience, paying for one of these accounts is unnecessary. With the rise of digital banking, there are plenty of banks out there that are desperate for your business. So they'll offer you an account for free in order to entice you to join. Popular digital banks that work with Amazon and are free include Tide and Starling, both of which have a really quick and easy application process. If you decide to use First Formations to set your company up, then all you need to do is choose which bank you want to go with from the list that they provide, and they should then do the rest on your behalf. If you want to become a full-time Amazon FBA seller, then a startup cost that you'll also incur is the £30 monthly Amazon selling fee, and you'll start to be charged that as soon as you open your account, if you don't know about the free plan. That's right, Amazon does indeed offer a free selling plan that it rather conveniently hides from its main seller's website. The free plan, officially named the individual plan, allows you to get up and running on the Amazon selling platform without spending a penny. To register for it, simply click Learn More from the Seller Central homepage, browse to the pricing tab, and then scroll down to where it says sign up for individual. The individual plan, when compared to the paid plan, doesn't have as many seller benefits, and it comes with an additional 75 pence charge for every unit that you sell. But when compared to the professional plan's monthly charge, that's a small price to pay if you're planning on taking things slowly, or likely won't be selling anything for a number of months. Regardless of which plan you think is going to be better suited for you in the long term, create an account now with the free plan, and that way you don't have to pay the £30 monthly charge whilst you're still doing your product research. Then once you're ready to sell, if you want to get the full benefits of the professional plan, you can easily upgrade within your account settings. Awesome. Obviously, if you're going to become an Amazon seller, then you need to find a product to sell. There are a whole host of different tools to find products out there, with the monthly cost for each of these typically ranging from $50 to $100. The good news with these tools is that if you're just starting out, you only really need to subscribe to them whilst you're looking for a product. And when you've found your product, you can then pause your subscription or lower your payment tier, reducing your costs. The company that I use most frequently for my product research and for running my Amazon business in general is Helium 10, and they offer a suite of tools for $40 to $100 a month. But as you guys are watching this now and you're looking to minimize your startup costs, check the link in the description for a 50% off voucher, and that means that you can get started for as little as $20 a month. An absolute steal for the tool that is going to help you find that 6-figure killer product. After you've found a product that you think you'd like to sell with Amazon FBA, you'll need to start making contact with suppliers to discuss getting samples and placing an order. If you're just starting out on a budget or you want to keep your costs low, then when messaging any supplier, ask them to quote you a price for a test order of between 50 and 100 units. Most suppliers will offer this if you tell them that your second order is going to be much bigger, though note that with a smaller test order, it's unlikely that you'll be able to customize things like your packaging and instructions and so on. With that said, it's worth asking the supplier if they'll let you customize anything about the product anyway, because if you don't ask, you don't get. Whether or not you want to place a big or small order for your first Amazon FBA shipment, before you spend anything, you're going to need to get a sample from the supplier so that you can inspect its quality and ensure that you're not spending your money on cheap tat. Unfortunately, some suppliers have been known to take advantage of people that are new to Amazon FBA, and they do this by charging huge amounts for samples, sometimes as much as $150. So to keep your sample costs low, find somebody on Fiverr that lives in China and is willing to forward a delivery onto you for a low cost. And once you've done that, tell your supplier or your suppliers that you want an unbranded sample sending to your purchasing agent who is based in China. As soon as they hear this, they'll know that you mean business and they'll think that you're more experienced than you actually are, resulting in them charging a very low amount for a sample. If you're going to get multiple samples from different suppliers, then combining all these samples and getting your sample agent to forward them onto you is going to save you huge amounts in shipping costs too. To reduce sample costs even more, ask the supplier to knock off the price of the sample from your main order's cost if you go ahead. Most will agree to this, which means that you end up getting the sample for free. Assuming that you're happy with your sample and you go on to place your order, the next part of the process that results in a cost for most people is when you create your Amazon listing. Amazon states that every product listing on its platform needs to have a GS1 barcode. GS1 barcodes are quite expensive to license, and they work out at around £120 a year for 1,000. Even if you only plan to use one barcode to create one listing, that doesn't matter. You'll still need to purchase an annual license, which, to be blunt, at 120 quid is pretty expensive. But don't worry, there is a secret workaround to this that lets you create a listing for free. And this workaround is called a GTN exemption, which once again is fairly well hidden on Amazon's website, unless you know where to look. To find it, log in to your Amazon account, type in GTN exemption, and then browse to the application form. All you need to do to remove the requirement to purchase a barcode is provide your chosen brand name, the category that you want to sell in, and pictures of your product with the logo on it. If you're planning on selling an unbranded product, then the process is very straightforward. Just type in generic for your brand name, input the category, and you're done. 120 quid saved. If you're going down the private label route and you want to get a logo made for your product cheaply, there are two different options. Head to Fiverr and find a designer that has good reviews and sensible pricing. Or if you want a simple but cool looking logo entirely for free, visit DeFont. Then type in the name of your brand and then see if anything stands out. If it does, then you can either download the font and use it, or take a snapshot of the logo sample and you'll have got your logo entirely for free. The final startup cost that you'll incur before you start selling are the image costs on your listing. Hiring a photographer can be incredibly expensive, and if you're looking at a photo shoot with models, you should expect to pay at least £500 for the day. If you're looking to do things on a budget though, there are a whole host of options. The first is to get a 3D render of your product made by a designer on Fiverr, and that's something that will give you flawless looking images for a very reasonable price. If you're looking for lifestyle photos, head to Adobe Stock, create a trial account, search for the type of lifestyle photo that you think is going to work with your product, and then download it for free. You can then send this photo to a cheap designer that you found on Fiverr and get them to Photoshop your rendered product into the image, saving you hundreds. So those are the main startup costs involved with an Amazon FBA business, and if you're able to follow the tips that I've shared throughout this video, you should find yourself in a position where you're able to get to the point of selling with a much lower capital investment than the majority of others. Of course, you're going to incur other costs throughout your Amazon careers, such as Amazon seller fees, but those are going to be paid out of the gross profit that you make from every single sale, which means that you don't need the cash up front in order to be able to pay them. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, guys, and I hope that you save lots of cash. You can find all of my discount links and recommendations in the description below this video, so be sure to use them. I will see you guys next time.